the center of the gaming universe.
Today on X-Play, we go head-to-head to discuss Electronic Arts' plan to buy out Take-Two for $2 billion, as well as Phil Harrison's surprising departure from Sony. Then, we review God of War: Chains of Olympus, and find out if it really is the best PSP game ever. Plus, we preview Gran Turismo 5 Prologue and Yahtzee's zero punctuation review of Uncharted: Drake's Fortune. It's game time!
Hello and welcome to X-Play, the only video game show that's glad Pluto's not a planet anymore. I'm Adam Sessler.
And I'm Morgan Webb. We are coming to you from the G4 studios in Los Angeles on Tuesday, February 26th. On today's show, we've got the latest breaking news on big buyouts and resignations. EA wants to gobble up Take-Two and Grand Theft Auto 4, and Phil Harrison is out as president at Sony.
Then we'll take a sneak peek at tomorrow's zero punctuation review of Uncharted: Drake's Fortune. Plus, we bamf our way into a review of Jumper Griffin's story. But first, let's go over to Morgan, who has all the top headlines in today's gaming update.
Thanks, Adam. June just got a whole lot busier. During the Destination PlayStation event, organized for retailers only, it was revealed that Metal Gear Solid 4 will finally hit shelves on June 12th. Additionally, the game will also be available bundled with an 80-gig PS3 and a DualShock 3 controller. If you're impatient for Rumble, the DualShock 3 will be available separately on April 15th for the ridiculously high price of $54.99. As Electronic Arts continues to pursue the buyout of Grand Theft Auto publisher Take-Two Interactive, many are wondering if the deal is inevitable. Analyst Michael Pachter doesn't think Take-Two will be able to block EA's offer and foresees that when the deal goes through, EA may have to engage in separate negotiations with Rockstar Games. He also mentions how the deal would eliminate competition in sports games, which is something that might be worth $2 billion on its own. Meanwhile, as a result of the talks between EA and Take-Two, Ubisoft, a company EA currently holds a 15% stake in, has expressed interest in expanding their own portfolio. The pending $2 billion deal has also affected smaller, more troubled publishers, in particular THQ, Midway, and Atari, whose stockholders have noticed huge gains in the wake of EA's offer. Stick around, we'll have more on Electronic Arts' big gamble later in the show when we go head-to-head with Ngai Kroll and Dean Takahashi. That is all for today's gaming update. For the latest news, reviews, and more, make sure you head over to our website, g4tv.com/xplay. But now let's go over to Adam, who recently spent some quality time with Kratos, the one and only true God of War.
Thanks, Morgan. He smells like strawberries. Anyway, with the release of God of War: Chains of Olympus for the PSP comes the ability to finally say, is that a Kratos in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me? Thanks, Ready at Dawn Studios. Here's our review. Kratos has faced demons before. He's stared down the most devious of creatures. He's battled enemies from all over mythology. But nothing could prepare him for his latest destination, the PSP. Boy, is Kratos gonna be pissed.
What treachery is this?
No treachery here, Kratos. This is God of War: Chains of Olympus.
I have given enough. Now take these nightmares from my head.
Calm down, Kratos. It's a good game. Don't be sad. Kratos has been teaching us about mythology through 2 big-time games. And if you've enjoyed the statue-smashing antics of the bitter Kratos before, you'll love him just as much here. Of course, some people love Kratos more than others. Think of Chains of Olympus as a prequel to the other titles. Not like a Star Wars Episode 1 debacle, something else. Kratos is still in service to the gods here. He's not the God of War yet. But he did kill his family. That hasn't changed. That's why he's so angry all the time.
He was haunted by a strange melody.
Huh, was it this strange melody? Now, even though Kratos has been shrunken down to PSP size, he's still got those weapons. He's still got that sensitive brutality. He's still got that, as the French say, I don't know what.
I won't take your riches, but I will take your life.
If If you have a PSP, God of War Chains of Olympus will definitely entertain you. We promise. The graphics are top-notch, even for a PSP. Top-notch. Is Chains of Olympus the best God of War game? Sounds no. But it is the best God of War in the PSP. That I can promise.
The gods have broken their word to me many times. Forgive me if I find it hard to believe your promises.
Well, believe this. God of War Chains of Olympus gets a 5 out of 5. That should make you happy, Kratos.
If that wasn't reason enough to buy yourself a PSP, then you're about to get a few more that, aren't homebrew. Here's the top-selling PSP games in today's X list. At number 5 is Need for Speed Pro Street, which unfortunately has nothing to do with Top Gun. At number 4 is Final Fantasy Tactics, The War of the Lions. If you love awkward camera angles and graphs, this game is for you.
Right ahead of that is Pathapon, the rhythm/RPG/squad-based action game. It's only $20 and a much better purchase than an American Pie direct-to-DVD sequel. At number 2 is God of War Chains of Olympus, which teaches you that to satisfy a woman, you must push her buttons in the correct order.
Ah, geez. But the top seller this week was Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core. This game has Sephiroth in it, so its rise to the top of the chart surprises no one.
Coming up on X-Play, we go head-to-head for the latest on Sony shakeups and big-time buyouts. Then, the new zero-punctuation review of Uncharted, Drake's Fortune, is almost here, and we've got a sneak peek. Plus, engines are revving for our preview of Gran Turismo 5 Prologue. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to X-Play. After a week of craziness in San Francisco, we thought this week's shows would be way more laid back. But when big shots resign and gaming giants try to devour their competition, we have to go head-to-head to sort it all out.
GDC was filled with exciting news and announcements, and even more bombshells were dropped once the conference had ended. Over the weekend, Electronic Arts announced their intentions to purchase rival Take-Two Interactive for a staggering $2 billion cash. And then, early Monday, Bill Harrison, the president of Sony Computer Entertainment Worldwide Studios, announced his resignation after 15 years with the company. Are these developments a good thing for gamers, or are we entering a new era of instability? Joining us today from San Francisco, digital media writer for VentureBeat.com, Dean the Machine Takahashi. And also joining our discussion today from New York, technology general editor for Newsweek magazine, Ngai Kral. Welcome to our show, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. Ngai, they were just said in the New York Times that they're looking at Electronic Arts doing this as a way to buy hits, since they're having so much trouble trying to make them themselves. Is this a sound strategy for EA?
Well, I disagree with that characterization. I mean, EA may have had a slightly off year, but that happens in the industry. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with Spore. We don't know what's going to happen with Army of Two. But, I mean, EA has very solid fundamentals. The fact of the matter is that Riccatello is very much a mergers and acquisitions guy. He's trying to grow the company, and this is another way to grow it.
Dean, obviously there's a few other companies people have been talking about, mainly THQ and Midway. Do you see them more in line now to be bought, given what EA is doing with Take-Two?
I'm not exactly sure about those specific companies, but I think we'll see a lot more consolidation in the industry. EA's own reaction here is really positioning against Activision Blizzard, because EA doesn't want to be the #2 company in the industry.
Now, Ngai, I guess Take-Two has a lot of properties. Obviously, they have Rockstar Games. They also have BioShock, and you have 2K Check with Mafia 2 coming out. How do you think this is going to fit inside of John Riccatello's city-state model for EA?
Well, I think sports is going to 2K Sports. They'll shut down the parts that don't make sense and move the ones that do into EA Sports. I could certainly see Greg Thomas becoming effectively Peter Moore's #2 as they go all the way back to Sega. I think a number of the 2K games titles, the BioShocks and Civilizations, those studios like 2K Boston/Australia and Firaxis will move into the EA Games label, and they'll be their own city-states. The thing that's interesting and that I would expect is that if EA is successful in acquiring Take-Two, I bet EA Rockstar becomes a 5th label to sit alongside the other four with Sam and Dan Houser running it if they choose to stay.
Now, obviously, the other big news story of the week was the stepping down of Phil Harrison after 15 years at Sony. Dean, obviously, there's been a rocky ride for Sony lately. Does this new development just make it even worse for them?
I think it does make it worse because the leaders at the top are the ones who are supposed to instill confidence in the platform. And Sony gets a lot of cred out of having, you know, some leaders who have been around for a long time like Phil. And Phil stepping down obviously is going to mean that people are going to wonder, well, what does this mean? You know, can I do a deal with Sony? Should I sell my company to Sony? You know, who do I know at the top?
And Guy, obviously in a state like this, we always speculate about why people left. Do you have any ideas of your own of why Phil decided to step down just now?
I don't actually. I've asked around, and you know, there's the rumor out there that he's going to Atari or Infogrames. I haven't heard that directly from anyone who's in a position to know, so I'm waiting to find out. But I mean, it is a loss for Sony. I mean, Phil was a terrific spokesperson for Sony in North America and Europe, and it's going to hurt losing him. I mean, here's someone who came out of development, out of R&D, out of third-party relations, and could speak to a lot of people. But that said, I mean, the president of SCEI, a Mr. Layden, I'm not sure what his first name is, but I believe he's fluent in both. He's also a Brit and speaks fluent Japanese, and I could see someone like him being tapped to assume the spokesperson role for Phil in the future.
Now, just one more question and a quick one for both of you. Guy, your prediction, will EA get Take-Two, and how quickly will that happen?
I think it's almost inevitable that EA will get Take-Two. I mean, the moves that EA has made show that they're really aggressive. They want to make this happen. They are offering a significant premium to the shareholders. So I'd say it's a matter of when, not if. And
Dean, how soon do you think EA might grab Take-Two?
I think EA is also going to get Take-Two, but it might be a Pyrrhic victory because when you make a hostile offer for a video game company, the talent can just walk out the door.
Yes, that is one of the biggest risks, and we'll have to watch what develops, guys. Thanks so much for joining us today, and let's send things back over to Morgan.
When XPlay returns, we get a sneak peek at tomorrow's zero punctuation review of Uncharted. But first, let's take a look at who's the best at survival in today's leaderboard for Call of Duty 4. Here are the top gunners on the heat level.
Got time for a quickie? Filter begins in 60 seconds. Hey everybody, I'm Olivia Munn. Now, the world throws so much stuff at you that you need a filter. Today we're building our vocabularies with my favorite words that sound dirty but really aren't. First up, masticate. Yeah, you probably masticate every day, don't you? Bet you're doing it right now. That's right, I can see you. I can see you. Next, coccyx. Show me your coccyx, baby. Yeah, now wiggle it around. Oh, work it, baby. Work it, bitch. So hot. Finally, my favorite, uvula. Remember, boys, you have to be gentle with a lady's uvula if you ever get to see one. That's it for now. Hit me up at g4tv.com/filter for more fun. Until next time, I'm Olivia Munn, and I got a list.
Can I get a walk?
Welcome back to XPlay. It's Tuesday, so that means Ben Yahtzee Croshaw is back with another fast-talking rant of a review. Here's XPlay's exclusive sneak peek of tomorrow's zero punctuation review of Uncharted Drake's Fortune, courtesy of our friends at The Escapist.
There are games for all kinds of people. There are games for rappers and games for graffiti artists and games for people who feel up girls on Japanese subway trains, but there have never been any decent games for white supremacists. That is until Uncharted, Drake's Fortune, a rip-snorting adventure in which a waspish manly man runs around slaughtering everyone who had the poor judgment to not be born white. Okay, maybe I'm making too much of a big deal of this, but I'm not kidding when I say that every single minority on Earth is represented in the ranks of Uncharted's bad guys, a stream of assorted blacks, Asians and Latinos brought together by their mutual desire to kill Whitey. This is with the exception of the very British main villain, but he gets arbitrarily killed off about 10 minutes before the end in favour of a more ethnic final boss. Sorry to spoil that for you, but I assumed you could predict a plot point like the bad guy dies. But like George W. Bush, let's forget about the well-being of non-Caucasians and put on our reviewing pants. Uncharted has its sights very firmly on the notion of cinematic gaming and plays like a Hollywood movie, specifically the Hollywood movie National Treasure, with a big scoop of Raiders of the Lost Ark mixed in. You play Nathan Indiana Jones as written by Joss Whedon Drake as he scavenger hunts for the inevitable lost golden treasure in the standard exotic locales while being aided by the troublesome initially hostile blonde love interest and the elderly mentor type figure who might as well wear a t-shirt saying, "I will die or turn evil."
Remember, you can get Zero Punctuation's full uncensored review of Uncharted tomorrow only at escapistmagazine.com. And X-Play will have new previews every Tuesday night. For a review that has a Yank accent, well, let's go over to Adam.
Thank you, Morgan. What happens when Anakin Skywalker and Nightcrawler have a baby? Well, you get a movie called Jumper, and lucky you, someone went to the trouble of making a video game adaptation of this completely below-average movie. Here's a review of Jumper, Griffin's story. Does anything sound less appealing than controlling a supporting character in a mediocre video game based on a Hayden Christensen action-adventure movie?
My name's Griffin.
Nope, didn't think so. In Jumper Griffin's story, you play as Griffin, a.k.a. Jamie Bell, a.k.a. Billy Elliot. You see, according to the rules of this universe, jumpers are people who can teleport anywhere in the world at any time.
Paladins kill jumpers, I kill paladins. Class dismissed.
Developers of the game decided to stay faithful to the movie in the sense that both are indescribably terrible.
Jerk squad at 12 o'clock.
Instead of doing anything creative with combat, the makers simply have you use the controller's 4 face buttons to determine which side to attack from. Occasionally, you can trigger instant kills, which allow you to warp your opponents into unfortunate situations, like abandoning them in Antarctica, or leaving them in a car that's about to be crushed. Why you can't just do that to every bad guy, well, that's never explained. Instead, you'll dispatch the majority of them by hitting them with Jamie Bell's patented whacking stick. On the plus side, boy, what plus side could there possibly be here? Come on, Adam. Dang it. Oh, I know. Jamie Bell's accent is totally dreamy.
But we don't always get to choose our fights. Some fights, you're just born into.
I could listen to him deliver meaningless platitudes all night long.
My father once said that to remain a free soul means always being in a state of revolt.
Yeah. And believe it or not, this retails for a full $60. If they wanted to insult us, they should have just cut to the chase and slapped us in the face with a penis.
I'm gonna hurt you, Griffin.
At least then I'd have a funny story to tell at next year's E3, and I get to touch a penis.
Not bad.
No, guy. Actually, it is pretty bad. Jumper Griffin's story gets 1 Samuel L. Jackson cameo.
Good of you to come.
Out of 5.
Up next on X-Play, we get the checkered flag with our preview of the most detailed racing game out there, Gran Turismo 5 Prologue. Don't miss it. X-Play, one of iTunes' best podcasts of 2007.
If you dig this, then you dug this, cause I'm all about the nerd life, ward life. If you dig this, then you dug this, cause I'm all about the nerd life, ward life.
Welcome back to X-Play. Gran Turismo 5 Prologue isn't the full version of the game. It's kind of like a preview, and this next segment isn't the full review of Gran Turismo 5 Prologue you've been waiting for. It's a preview, too. So, here's a preview of a preview. Can you get any further from the real game? I don't think so. All right, Gran Turismo fans, it's time to get some answers. What is the meaning of all this racing? Well, maybe Gran Turismo 5 Prologue will provide some insight. Or maybe not. But we do know that it will provide a brand new racing adventure for the PS3. And what more can you really ask for? For starters, you can choose from 37 beautifully detailed cars. You'll find everything from Honda to BMW to Ferrari and Lotus. Not all vehicles are playable, however, but no matter, they're nice to look at. There are also 10 tracks from around the globe. You'll really feel like you're cruising the streets of London or racing on Daytona Beach with the realistic renderings of these famous places. Among the new additions to the series is the realistic in-car view. Complete with speedometer and odometer, you'll even have functioning rear view and side mirrors. Probably a good thing when you're driving 200 miles per hour. And in addition to the amazing offline gameplay that you know and love, this marks the first Gran Turismo game to feature online play as well. Now you finally have the ability to race head-to-head with up to 16 players. Prologue also introduces a completely new interface. My Page will serve as, well, your page. It's your personalized menu, holding everything from your garage to your online profile. If you've ever played anything in the Gran Turismo series, you know to expect amazing graphics and superb racing simulation. So the real question is, can it get much better? Well, you shall soon find out, patient viewer. So buckle your safety belts and get ready to rumble. The wait for Gran Turismo 5 Prologue is almost over.
Hey kids, the secret word of the day is X-Play Replay. On today's show, we reviewed God of War Chains of Olympus for the PSP. This pint-sized deity killer brings the best aspects of the bigger games to the handheld system, netting it a divine 5 out of 5.
And we also reviewed Jumper, Griffin's Story, a video game based on a secondary character from a blah movie. Do I really have to say anything else? It's bad. Don't bother. It teleports its way to only 1 star.
Sadly, it's now time for us to part, but we'll be back tomorrow and every weeknight with another whole new X-Play at 8. On tomorrow's show, we review Dark Messiah Might and Magic for the 360 and see if this port is worth more than just achievement points.
Then Kristen Holt will be here with a dino-crushing cheat for Turok. And in our review of FIFA Street 3, we'll figure out a way to make jokes involving penalty kicks and groins.
We've also got a review of Wipeout Pulse and a preview of the quirky RPG Opuna, and even more stuff on top of that.
So we'll talk very fast to get through it all, and we'll see you next time.